Welcome to Las Vegas and the Mandalay Bay for Day 3 of the Weber Cup, the transatlantic 10-pin showdown between the USA and Europe. With 2 sessions now played, here's a quick reminder of what's happened so far.
The tournament opened with the traditional Baker match, which saw the European challengers draw first blood in front of the first American crowd. Team USA fired back in the first singles match when Anthony Simonsen decisively beat Jesper Svensson. Match 3 saw the US rookie Jacob Butter win the game in his hands in the 10th frame, but left the frame open to give Europe the edge. The Americans fired back through captain Chris Barnes, who led from the front against a misfiring Stu Williams to tie the score at 2-all. Weber Cup 19 MVP saw off the challenge of Asku Palermo to take their first lead in the tournament. Match 6 saw our first rematch between Anthony Simonsen and Jesper Svensson, with the American winning for the second time to extend Team USA's lead. The rest of the day, however, belonged to the Europeans, as Stu Williams shot Team Europe's best score of the day to beat the American debutant. Before the fans' choice fixture saw the 2 captains face off in the final match of the first session, both players were feeling the pressure, but ultimately Don Barrett saw Europe draw level to end Day 1.
After the opening 4 matches, there was nothing to separate the 2 sides. Wins for Troop and Simonsen did see the US establish a slim lead, only for Williams and Barrett to strike back and level the session. If the opening day was cagey, Day 2 was the complete opposite, providing drama, edge-of-the-seat action, and a history-making performance from the American team.
Another great shot. We're seeing some really high-quality bowling early here, Jesse.
Loop-de-loop Kyle Troop. This, right now, is anybody's match.
And Europeans even it up.
Oh, you gotta be perfect on the big stage. How much does he love the Weber Cup?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Team USA has got a mascot right now.
You can't throw it any better than that. Oh my God!
No!
How does that go? Oh, it falls! Holy cow!
I mean, the Finn is rising from the ashes like a phoenix. And Team USA has now taken a commanding lead in this session.
Europe on the ropes.
That was an Armageddon. 10 strikes by the team. What a perfect game.
After 16 matches at this year's Weber Cup, America now have a commanding 10-6 lead in the race to 18, drawing the opening session before going on to win the second in style, claiming 6 of the 8 games and bowling the first ever perfect 300 team match in the tournament's history. With 7 singles matches to contest on Day 3, can Europe add some much-needed blue to the leaderboard, or will the US move ever closer to retaining the trophy? Time to find out as we open the proceedings with a captain versus captain matchup. Commentary comes from Tim Mack, Guy Kaminsky and Jesse May.
Well, Day 2, bold red, white, and blue, but for Day 3 of this Weber Cup, anything is possible. And Tim Mack, Dom Barrett stepping to the lane on the scimitar pattern. This is like home for him.
Yeah, the Europeans notoriously have been exceptionally a lot of success on this pattern. And they had to go with something that they have bowled on previously and also have confidence in. I think they need some momentum early, so Dominic has decided to lead from the front, step on the plate and say, listen, guys, get on my back and let's try to carry some momentum early so we can win some points. Guy, I mean, what's the key in coming here for these two captains? Do we see a strategy coming into play, and what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, basically Dom's a younger version of Chris. They're both a similar kind of players. A lot of skill, a lot of accuracy, a lot of finesse. Not like these young kids today. And this pattern really suits that style. So this is really in Chris's wheelhouse too. It's not just that it doesn't suit Dom as well, it suits Chris. And I was just really surprised yesterday, Tim, how good Chris was in that long pattern.
Yeah, he was incredible. I mean, you could argue that he had, I mean, I know Simonsen didn't miss yesterday, but you could argue that Chris Barnes was as good as anybody.
He had a great day. He had a great day, and he really established dominance over Dominic Barrett yesterday. We were saying that the matchup of the captains was going to be crucial. I mean, for Dom, he's going to have to show his team that he can beat this captain.
Okay, listen, today I've been a part of many Weber Cups, and today is, I call it moving day. Very similar to the golf majors. Today is moving day in the Weber Cup. You're either going to go really far behind, or you're going to make a charge and put yourself back in the ballgame here.
Barnes will step to the lane.
Hi, CB.
He actually said to me before, I asked him about the scimitar pattern, he said he thinks that the USA is pretty good on the extra long, and also he doesn't feel like they have the disadvantage on the extra short. But this is kind of in the middle, the scimitar, or is it real short?
Well, a 40-foot pattern is probably right down the middle, but they looked great in practice at the USA, so the Europeans are going to have their hands full. And again, Barnes starting off classic, right like we expect Chris Barnes to do.
Do you think Europe are going to wonder when they're going to stop striking?
I mean, yeah, it's tough. It's tough as when you're seeing your opponent shot after shot, and things kind of snowball. They just feel like you can't get any momentum going.
I feel like, you know, Stu Williams, Dom Barrett, they both were in pretty good form this morning. Stu said to me they just felt like they had to get it all out last night. Uh-oh. And that is not the way you want to start, is it, guy?
No, I mean, it just couldn't have started worse, to be perfectly honest. The only nice thing with the world scoring format, an open frame early on really is not the worst thing that can happen. So if you are going to miss, the first frame's the one to do it in.
We've seen that pins bounce out before earlier in our matches on day one when Jacob Butcher bounced one out, and there was a little bit of some controversy there, whether the...
Some big controversy there. Stu, very animated.
Yes, and as you can see, the pins come flying out of the gutter, and it just went forward instead of to the side. So
yeah, what happened with Butcher was that the pin actually bounced off the sweep, if you remember, Timmy. And the thing was whether the sweep was still moving when it hit the sweep.
Yeah, and if the sweep is still and not moving, it counts. But if the sweep is moving at all, down or forward, it doesn't count. And as you see, this is the exact start that Barnes and the USA team wanted.
This is not what Team Europe expected. I'll tell you, Team USA is so strong right now. They're like, we can bowl short, we can bowl long. I mean, they'll bowl on grass if they have to, it sounds like.
It certainly seems that way, Jesse.
That's 18 strikes in a row right now for Team USA.
Sometimes you got to tip your cap, guy. You just got to tip your cap to your opponent and say, hey, listen. But at some point in time, you also hope that the train is going to slow down just a little.
Yeah, we always say you make your own luck in this game, and USA have definitely done that. But you also have to be close enough in the scoreboard to take your chances.
I mean, it's all about breaking the momentum, right? When someone's got, and somebody on Team Europe needs to stand up and just break this Team USA's momentum a little bit.
Well, Dominic's been that guy. Over the years, I've seen him bowl some of the most spectacular bowling games I've ever seen. In particular, on moving day last year, that late night session, we went back-to-back games to win both points to give them a remnant of a chance. I know they lost quite handsomely, but he was he's a Trojan out there. He won't give up.
100%. And listen, guys, I think regardless of, even if the Europeans don't win this match, wow, that was really close to making that spare. I don't think you want to press the panic button. You have to look at the overall session. The goal is to win the session. Obviously, you want to win the first game, but they have to win the session.
This Chris Barnes right now, he must feel like $1 million. He's on top of the world. Not only is his team playing well, he's playing lights out.
Listen, he's really bowled well this entire year, Jesse, and this is just a carry through for what he is already, all the hard work he's put into since he's come back from this back surgery, and he just gets stronger and stronger and stronger. It just seems to get better, better, and better.
Well, it's all about how you pick yourself up off the floor, and Dom Barrett needs to find that leverage.
I mean, to me, that ball's picking up so early, and I know he's moved left there, but it still doesn't can't get down the lane.
No, it's clear. For me, it's clear that either A, it's a hand position and speed angle change, or it looks like a ball change, because he's really, that ball's forcing him to move further and further left, and you don't want to do that so early in the match on the fresh lane.
And what effect that's going to have on the following matches? Because normally we see the guys stay quite far to the right, and then the scoring pace would improve as they move left. But if you move left this early, where are we going to be in 3 games time?
Yeah, that's a great point, Guy. It's just, and you can see Chris, he's actually staying a little further right, and his angles aren't as steep, so he's not playing that big hook that Dom is playing. So it'll be interesting to see how the lane transitions over these next couple of frames.
If he strikes here, you'll need a crowbar to wipe the smile off his face.
Have you ever seen Chris so relaxed?
Oh my gosh. Are we witnessing history here?
Oh, I know. That's a 20-bagger. That's a 20-bagger from the USA. Carried over from...
I'm actually speechless. What are you meant to say? What are you meant to do when your team have thrown 20 10-backs at you?
Can you steal their balls?
Well, they're still communicating. That's the great thing about the Americans.
There's your ball change, Timmy. You called it.
Ball change, and the ball does the business.
That was the right kind of adjustment.
100%. I just, the ball that he was using earlier just was so much stronger, and you see this ball doesn't transition as hard and is smoother. It's smoother right there, and it allows the ball to do the damage and go into the pocket.
So good adjustment for Barrett, but he'll need to find a crack in Chris Barnes' armor. Is there one? He's
going to need some. He's going to need some giant help here, Jesse. And I just don't foresee that happening right now with as good as Barnes has been.
But Barnes did collapse in that last game on the first day, if you remember, against Dom.
Yeah, you do make a point there. And the unique thing, Jesse, in this is that the world scoring system allows, if Dom can, listen, Dom's in a must-strike situation right now in this match. And if Chris just gets 9 or 8 and doesn't strike,
it'd be funny if I wasn't thinking about it too.
And as he said, there he is. He's thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, guys, right. I think on the first session, Dom's struck, I think, the last 6 frames in a row, came back and beat Barnes pretty handily.
And Carl did that to Oscar yesterday.
Yeah, so we've seen it happen.
Yeah, if someone gets striking, get a string of strikes down the home straight, like Tim said, we've got to have, Dom's got to have them all here. But it's not unthinkable that he can still win this game.
Listen, if Dominic Barrett strikes out, he maxes out at 245. We've seen 245 win games here. So there's still an opportunity out there for him. But he must strike. That's a good one. Gonna win high. I think he's too far left, because that actually was a good shot off his hand. I think he's a little. I think he's just a little too far left in the middle of the lane.
He's giving himself no room for error there, to me, playing that deep so early.
It seems like to me that he's going to have to go a little further right and a little harder and straighter to go up the lane. More of the angles that Chris is playing.
That was a key frame right there for Dom Barrett. He left it open. He's going to need a lot of help to get back in this particular match. It looks like it's running away from him.
This is one of the first matches, actually, guys, that we've really had a player run away from another player right now, and it doesn't look like that's going to stop anytime soon.
I mean, you can see Dom standing right behind Chris there, still trying to work out where he needs to be.
Yeah, and the important thing is he's going to have to give that information, Jesse, to Stu, who's going to be up next. You don't want to lose the first 2, because it's hard to win a session 5-3 if you lose the first 2.
Both players trying to get to the same break point. But Chris's launch angle down the front of the lane is much straighter at it, where Dom's having to go much sharper to the right. And any miss on a fresh lane is exaggerated. You miss, you get punished for your misses.
That's right. And Dominic's rev rate is higher than Chris's, so that's forced him a little bit further left. But Dom is a magician with his hand, so he's got to figure out to get that hand and get that ball roll a little cleaner and a little flatter.
Just can't seem to find the placement. Now, you always have said many times, Tim, and Guy, you don't want to make a ball change off a bad shot.
Correct.
And right now, you kind of like the ball. It's just the execution off the hands for Dom that's not working. Or
yeah. Well, what I see is I think he needs to just change his angle of attack. I think he's trying to play too much of a shape. Maybe he's trying to hook the ball too much. And I think he's got to get his hand a little flatter. And get the ball to go more end over end. So it's, we call that, Jesse, where you change your ball roll, you change your release.
Welcome back to the Weber Cup from Las Vegas, where the US captain Chris Barnes currently has an impressive 67-pin lead over the European captain Dominic Barrett in their singles match. Commentary from Jesse May, Guy Kaminsky and Tim Mack.
no matter what the sport is, the best athletes, when they get in the zone, you can see it, you can feel it. It's not just the captain, by the way, Barnes.
That's right.
Everybody on Team USA is locked in the zone right now.
And Jesse, the one thing we talked about is we started from the get-go in this entire event. Momentum is a funny thing. And there's no question that the momentum has carried over from the session from last night into this first round today against, with the two captains. And the Americans now are going to be up 5.
Pesky 10.
I mean, to me, you said Europe mustn't panic. But how do you not panic? I mean, you needed a good start. This is the worst possible start Europe could have hoped for.
Well, Dominic better muster up all the heart he talked about the European team having yesterday. He said that's why they've been so successful over the years in the Weber Cup. He's going to have to show that heart, and you're going to have to rally his troops and galvanize his team and put him on his.
Glad to see you here with us today.
See if he can make some strategic changes and also just some body language and momentum changes mentally and physically.
They got to do it against a powerhouse. But look, this is part of sport, and these 4 in Team Europe, they have been champions. That crew right there, they won 5 Weber Cups in a row. So you can't do that without being able to pick yourself up when things are going bad. And we're going to see if they can do it, I guess.
Yeah, listen, when your back's against the wall, it's easy to be out in front. You find out about yourself when your back's against the wall and when you got to claw back from nowhere and come back from the depths of nowhere, when people don't think you can do it. The thing that I did as a player, what I used to love as a player and as a coach, is when people think we had no chance. And then we would find a way to get the job done and find a way to win. They said, you got no chance. You can't get there. You can't win.
Was that a ball change?
Another ball change there.
And for me, I think that's what Dom needs to say. He says, listen, we've got nothing to lose now. Let's put all our cards on the table, all our chips in the middle, and we're all in.
Yeah, I mean, some days you eat chicken, other days nothing but feathers. And Team Europe better start flapping.
Look, the biggest deficit ever recovered was by this European team. So they've got it in them.
I tell you, they're facing a really uphill battle, though, because this is a monster USA squad right now.
Well, not only that, Jesse, you're right, but the USA squad is clicking on all cylinders. They have all 4 players that are very comfortable right now. And the European team had 2 prior to the session, which were Dominic and Stuart, which were relatively their 2 best players so far. And now, after this first match, Dom's going to have to answer some questions for himself and figure out what's the next plan, because he's up the following match after this. He's bowling a lot today. Right. He's bowling 3 or 4 matches.
And historically, if it wasn't Dom, then it was Stu who was the rock, who was the anchor, who got the momentum back. He has got a huge weight on his shoulders, Stu, to stop the rot in the next match.
Yeah, I see Dom going back to the ball he started with. Looks as bad now as it did at the start.
Yeah, it's clearly was a tactical error on Dom's behalf. When they do re-oil the lane, and I don't know who, if
it's only every 3 games to me, so they've still got 2 more games.
Right, but I don't know if he's again on the fresh. If he's going to bowl on the fresh again.
He's not. No, Stewie will lead the fresh.
Right.
Next one.
But he will see the fresh again in this tournament, and he's going to have to make the tactical changes to make sure he doesn't make the same mistake that he made in this match with Chris. We can see, guys, the lane's starting to play tricks on both players now here. There's not a lot of strikes since in the second half of the game, so but what's going to happen next round?
And this is what you expect from the Scimitar?
That's exactly what it is. The scoring pace drops dramatically, and you know you're not just throwing strike after strike, and that's what they wanted to. That's what Europe wanted to see. I don't think they really expected that they weren't going to strike at all much.
Yeah, Europe wants it to be a slugfest. They don't want it to be a strike fest. They want to go out there and try to lower the scoring pace so that they can get back in the game, because they know the Americans have just more power in their game. As far as the double wood, there it is. As far as just their styles of bowling. So.
So, to be fair, 234 is pretty solid, nothing special. Great start from Chris Barnes. Or is 234 going to be a pretty decent score on this pattern?
I think it's going to be a good score today. 230 is going to be a very good score on this pattern. But you got to remember, Chris kind of took his foot off the gas. He switched balls there in the 8th, 9th, and 10th frame and didn't use the same balls because he knew he was searching for more information.
Well, different day, same story. Team USA rolling over Team Europe right now. 10-6 went 11-6, and it's only Stu Williams who is going to be up next to stop the pain. Can he? We'll see in a minute.
Welcome back to the 20th edition of the Weber Cup from Las Vegas, where to the delight of the home fans, Chris Barnes has just put another point on the board for the US team. He's now talking to Hannah Wilkes.
Did you just keep bowling all night? Because it didn't look like you guys have paused for breath.
Well, no, I wish we could have last night. We had a lot of momentum going, and so far we carried that forward. Dom was a bit unlucky, kind of gave me some room early and let me get a little bit comfortable, and it went from there.
Yesterday, you were giving your teammates the credit for a lot of the work out on the lane, but you're certainly leading from the front. What I find really interesting, though, is how much you talk to your teammates during the match, seeing you kind of whispering away to them at the back of the lane. How much are they helping you, and how much is it a two-way street between you and some much younger players?
Oh, it's much younger, and so their viewpoint is from a lot further left than mine is, for the most part. But that's why I go out there first. I beat up the lane a little bit to the right, and then they go left of me and go around that spot. But we're talking strategy. They're helping me through it, and things that are working for them too. And there's things we can all take from each other, even though we don't throw it the same.
How are you finding that oil pattern out there? Because we saw Dom struggle. This is, of course, a European chosen pattern. And being first up, it's really up to you to kind of read the lane. How's it playing?
It hooks more. It's lighter volume than yesterday as well. And so the front's going to break down quicker, and that's part of the reason why they've dominated on it so much. And so our strategy is going to revolve around, beating that part of the challenge and then taking advantage of the rest of it.
Chris Barnes' third singles victory at this year's Weber Cup has moved America on to 11 points, 5 ahead of Europe and 7 shy of retaining the trophy they lifted in the UK last year. Can Europe's Weber Cup stalwart Stuart Williams slow the US advance? Let's find out now as he takes on the young Texan Anthony Simonsen. Joining Jessie May in commentary, a special guest.
Pressure is on Team Europe, but for one man who's not feeling the pressure right now, his red, white, and blue suede shoes must be walking on air. Captain Chris Barnes. I mean, Chris, you couldn't have drawn it up any better than this.
No, when you come out of the gates and everybody's a little tight, and we know that there's certainly a lot of history of Europe bowling great on this pattern, and get a couple of early strikes and Dom has a couple of early opens, it really relaxes everything, and then it was able to throw a couple of good ones behind it. The last thing you want to do is let them get some momentum early and really get rolling.
Well, you never really gave Dominic a chance, and obviously he got off to a couple bad shots early, but you really stepped on his throat the first half of the game and just really never let him breathe.
That's the idea. I mean, you know, you have Simo coming behind us, and like I say, Dom and Stu have bowled really good. This is a great pattern for them. I mean, all the patterns are great for Dom. Stu here back and forth, but yeah, we really want to get off to a good start.
Let's talk about this match quickly, because I know now Stu Williams has been a stalwart for Team Europe, but Tim has been saying the last couple of days that he thinks Simonsen is one of the great adjusters in bowling right now. Is that why you like him on this pattern?
You know, Kyle was our MVP last year, but Simo was our best player. Simo was the one that came out. Nobody had beat Jesper in like 4 years on this lane.
Right.
And he came out in the first match and beat him, and then he came out again and beat him again, and it changed the whole feel of the match.
It changed the narrative.
Absolutely.
No doubt about it.
We had an answer instead of knowing that we were going to lose at this point and this point. Now every point was up for grabs.
Right, which hasn't been like that in the past, especially with Jesper on the lane. So. Oh, it's a great start from Beast Stu. Obviously, I think him and Dominic talked, and obviously you had strategy with your team as well, Chris. And Dominic said he was having a hard time with early hook. Stu here goes to a ball that's obviously a lot cleaner and gets through that hook phase that Dominic saw so much in his match with you, and obviously great start from Stu.
Yeah, that green IQ looks really clean, and it's been pretty directional for all the guys. I won't be surprised if Simonsen ends up going to it later. His first plan, though, is to basically be a little firmer and stay in that spot closer to where I was at the beginning.
He gets the light message. That might be his ball switch already.
If he can get that hit, he won't have to change. If he can't, then he'll get to that green ball pretty fast.
That's right.
I'll tell you what, bowling gets a lot easier when you always have a friend helping out with the 10-pin. Simonsen had it yesterday too, didn't he?
Well, that's what all that power brings. That's the advantage that him and Kyle and Jesper, and that's what they have over myself, is that they can get an extra one coming back off from the other side.
Yeah, we've talked about it all tournament long, of how the two-handers just create that so much power and so much. Their pocket becomes so much bigger, and they get those half hits and those off hits that the traditional players just don't get. This guy's focused.
He has bowled exceptionally well over the last few days, for sure, and him having a light day had a lot to do with the success that we had yesterday.
Yeah, keeping him on the bench actually helped you guys yesterday. And as you said earlier, you can't hide any players in this event. Everybody will get exposed at some point in time, so the guys have to figure it out. So Stewart, obviously in a huge position for the European team to try to get some good feel, some good vibes back on that side of their camp.
10 hanging again. Is it time for a change?
Yeah, we're really close to it. I don't know if he sees it. Sometimes you don't see it as well from the foul line as you from the back, but it's just a little bit early. And throughout the last couple of days, that's what happens. When you get a little early, there ends up being a lot of ring 10s that look perfect. The result is not.
Yeah, he sees the half 10 and then the ring 10. I'm pretty confident if you were down there now, I mean, you're up here in the booth, which actually may help the Europeans, but I'm sure Kyle or the team will pass the message or pass the buck to him. That green ball that you talked about, that green IQ that has been so successful on this lane, that might be the ball that Simonsen goes to. He was just dominant the first day with that ball as well.
He's actually got one behind it too, that in between there at a marble gold mat, one of the international marble pearls basically, and that might be in between there. But,
sure. See if Stewart can capitalize on Simonsen's ring 10 here. That's in a little.
His ball reaction looks great. His ball's going through the pins, and he's in rhythm.
Every journey starts with a single step, but bowling comebacks are best taken 10 pins at a time. And Stu Williams, 3 in a row right now.
Listen, Jesse, we talk about momentum. Is this the match right now? And obviously we have the American captain up here. Is this the match that actually gets Europe some confidence and some momentum to knock down Anthony Simonsen?
I mean, if you could beat Anthony Simonsen,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, to be honest, they have to win this match.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
And at that time,
he sees something that we don't, obviously. He knows his game really well, so.
I mean, Chris, you know, you talked about you'd like to talk to him, but the communication between everyone on Team USA has been so good. You'd have to expect Kyle to say something right now.
Well, and they did. When he came back last time, they talked about it, and I'm sure that was the conversation. Do you switch balls or something else? The one thing Anthony has over a lot of the two-handers, really other than Jason, is he has great touch.
Yeah, he can do so many things with his hand.
And so that's a little firmer, and he was a little nicer to it at the bottom, and it pushed it through, and it got through the pins a little better.
Right.
See how long that holds up, though. This 24 mils broke down really fast, even with my referee.
Stu backs off. What happened there?
I just, you know, we're in a unique environment here. The Weber Cup lane, this environment is, first in my opinion, still the best environment in bowling. And, you know, any little thing right now, each shot right now for the European team means so much. So he's got to make sure he gathers his thoughts, is committed to what he wants to do, and ready to make the shot.
And Stu, more than anyone else on the European team, will change pace of play, will change up the level of intensity through talk or actions,
right,
and help move that around. Unfortunately for him, Anthony's probably the best action guy, you know, in our group.
That's right.
Now that one was in.
Yeah, that one was in, and it looked like, if you see his follow through, he actually tried to help that one at the bottom. He steered it a little bit with his arm swing, and obviously leaving the 4-pin shouldn't be a problem on the spare.
If he converts this, we're going to be tied. And this such a crucial match.
This is very similar, Jesse, to and Chris, to Stuart. The last time he was on the lane in the singles match, he was in a must-win situation, and he stepped up to the plate on day one, and you know, and won a big game when the Europeans were down 2. The simple fact that they're down 5 now is obviously a lot more pressure on him, but he's obviously bowled 4 really good shots to start the match. So.
He's Europe stopper, but Simonsen is the catalyst for USA. As you said yesterday, he didn't miss a shot, Tim.
No, Simonsen, that was his first miss, and I don't know how many shots that ring 10. So, I mean, you talk about solid, Jesus.
First miss since Tuesday.
We can't say that a lot in our sport. I haven't missed in a couple of days.
You've been around a lot of Weber Cups, obviously, Chris, and a lot of Team USAs. Is this one of the strongest on paper teams ever assembled? I mean, it seems so powerful.
It's a different group.
Yes.
You know, we had some that were also full of Team USA players, but I mean, from a pure power, pure striking ability, it would be if I wasn't on it.
But I feel like, you know, you lending, you know, your experience, your wisdom to all the young talent, it seems to be a great combo right now.
I think that's the best compliment anybody can give me there. But
it's a perfect blend, I think. It's a perfect blend. Got to have it
going.
Yeah, that's a great shot. That's a great shot from Stuart.
I still think Stu has the ball reaction advantage. The deal is Anthony is Anthony. And he has proven over and over again that with average ball reaction, when he's feeling it,
he just beats to a different drum. You're right, Chris. Anthony Simonsen beats to a different drum. You got to remember, guys, he's 22 years old.
Jeez.
He's 22 years old. He's got 2 PBA major championships. He's won all over the world. He's 22 by age, but he's about 45 by bowling years.
Yeah, he's so street-wise, street savvy.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Lived a different life than most people have, and he's just a very mature 22-year-old in many ways.
Was that high?
It was for a little bit, and then it went there.
Almost went Brooklyn. So
It went Brooklyn.
You see him looking right there. That one picked up so fast on him.
That might warrant the ball change right there, because it just read the mid lane too hard and dove through on the other side of the pocket to the head pin. So.
He was a little in, and it looked like it read 4 feet too early.
That's right. I agree with you. Look out. That's all right.
Well, that has opened up a 13-pin advantage for Team Europe, and you got to give Stu Williams a lot of credit here.
Welcome back to Las Vegas and the Weber Cup, where the US currently lead Europe 11-6 in the race to 18. On the lane at the moment, Anthony Simonsen is in action against Team Europe's Stuart Williams. Jesse May picks up the play alongside Tim Mack and Chris Barnes.
You said it earlier, his ball reaction is perfect for this spot right now.
That was in and long, and normally that leads to a flat 10 or a half 7 or something like that, and it snapped the 10 right out of there. That's the money shot in between.
Sure.
You get that one there, now you can bridge that with 2 other good ones and make a run.
And Chris, if you look at the lane play where Stu's on the lane, obviously he's shown a little emotion there, and now he's the emotion guy. If you look at it on the lane, you can see that Stewart's actually further left than Anthony on the lane. That might be something to think about moving forward for your team moving forward.
On day one, didn't we see Anthony nearly fall off the left side of the stage?
Right.
He was so far.
He said it was a little scary over there. His foot was getting a little close to that metal cage. Yeah, he's got to make a big jump or a ball down to something
100%.
much cleaner.
This ball is reading the lane too early.
He knows it too. He was in between the 2 balls, and
Both of these matches, are we seeing what makes bowling the most difficult? I mean, we're seeing real tactical pattern here. We're seeing a lot of changes, transitions. This is where you really need skill, right?
well, there will be a ton of movement on this. It's like we said down there before. It's a lighter volume pattern. This oil also breaks down a lot in the front. It's terrain oil. It has a tendency to blow up a little bit, and we have an experienced, mature lane surface on top of that. And so all those factors are going to lead to a lot of change in the front of the lane. I moved 2 or 3 inside of my one game, and that's with bowling down. So.
Yeah, I got to be honest with you. I've watched these matches. I've just watched the communication amongst you and the young kids, and it's been phenomenal. Which I've been in that chair before, so I know that it's imperative that you have to communicate with your team. And I don't see, which is odd, I don't see Stu and the Europeans talking as much as they usually talk.
I think they're just a little bit down right now.
Maybe because Stu has got such good ball reaction and a good handle on what he's doing as well.
Right. Don't mess him up.
Yeah, there's not much to discuss from that side of it. So he knows what's going on, and he's in control of this situation there. So
come on,
a little bit of pace there as well. I think he heard a little noise, maybe.
Might have been up here in the booth from us, guys. I'm sorry.
The last thing I want to do is affect this match in a bad way. Big lesson learned on my part.
Great shot from Stu. Unlucky there. A little wide. That actually got a little. He hooked that one a little bit more. A lot more shape to that shot, Chris.
Yeah, he fed that one well, and it rolled off of it fine. He's still. I'm sure he's a little disappointed because that was a chance to really put the hammer down.
Put the heat down, yeah.
But he's probably got one more shot from Anthony where Anthony's going to have to make some kind of move, some kind of change that will likely not strike.
Right, and Anthony's got to be on a ball change, as we talked about earlier. He's got to make the change. So he's going to make a blind ball change here, and we're running out of frames, so no problem on this one.
When you say blind ball change, what do you mean by that?
Chris will explain.
Yeah, it means he doesn't really know what that ball is going to do. But the one thing we did do this morning is we made sure we did a much better job than we did day one about throwing the other balls, making sure not only figure out what the pattern's doing, but what balls are behind it, so we had a better idea. Because the lanes did get slicker from each run and each time they went down. So I think he's got a better idea. And like we said, he's gone to the green IQ.
And that got a little flat as well. But that's the one miss you talked about. That's the one miss you talked about. So
kick off of it.
We've seen some dramatic stuff happen in the later frames in this Weber Cup so far, and it's just because of the transition. Guys get a little lost. It's the guy who's going to grab the conditions best, is it?
Yeah, I mean, really at this point, I don't anticipate Stu missing the pocket again, which means basically he needs one strike in the next 3 shots.
Right.
And he'll close out this match because of the count difference.
And I'll try, but
Chris, let me ask you this: with today's pattern, do you anticipate the scoring pace obviously being a little bit lower, obviously, than it was from yesterday? And does that favor you or the European team? How do you feel about that, as the team leader?
I think it will be a little bit lower, but I do think it'll be lower on both sides.
Right.
Where this day is probably going to get swung a little bit is what happens between Jacob and Jesper here.
Yeah,
I think Jacob actually has a pretty good look today, which we didn't anticipate, so he's going to bowl a couple of times. And if he's got it, then we're in pretty good shape.
That's why you're the captain. You got to make those tough decisions.
Come on, boys.
And that's why Stuart Williams is a champion. I mean, this is what champions do. They just win when they must. And he's really showing some character here.
All right, that's a great point. This early in the tournament, this is really, I mean, it's the first must-win for them. They don't want to get down 6. Basically, have to win out the session.
Yeah,
just to get it back close. This keeps it back where now if Jesper does what he's done so many times on this lane, he gets back in play pretty quickly.
You see he cut his angles down there a little bit and went a little bit harder and direct. And that ball, obviously Anthony's not happy with it. He's feeling like he should have probably switched maybe a frame early. And maybe Europe's benefit is because you're up here in the booth with us and didn't have an opportunity to tell him.
I'm blaming it on you guys. I only came up here because it's your birthday.
Oh, thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. Thanks for that.
What better way to celebrate your birthday than the USA leading in the Weber Cup, right, Tim? I mean, this, you bleed Weber Cup.
He's the lifelong Weber Cup champion, captain for the Team USA. So he just needs one mark, and it's done. So he needs the spare will.
Spare here forces Anthony to strike, and anything else is the European. It's a pinpoint for Europe.
He needs 2 marks, actually.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a little tense down there this type of round.
You know, that 10 pin looks a little further away now when the pressure's mounting on you. And Chris can speak for some of the spares out here in this environment. I know they're usually routine for the caliber of bowlers that you all are on the lane, but it plays tricks on you.
Well, the one thing that happens here without any warm-up lanes is you get a limited number of shots before the match, which is pretty usual.
Right.
But on the warm-up lanes, that's when you're throwing spares and you're doing some of the background stuff, and you don't want to use one of those up here, so guys aren't shooting spares.
That's right.
If Simonsen strikes.
Well, he's keeping him honest. That keeps Stewie honest.
And that puts a very big question to Stu Williams. He's rolled a great game here, but he has to finish this off.
Well, he needs a mark. He needs a good count mark. A seven spare will do the job. It will shut out Simonsen. Again, this is a must-win situation, like you said, Chris. And you see the message of the great shot from Anthony Simonsen, the great answer. But still, there's a lot of pressure on this shot.
When all you need is a mark, do you roll the ball a little bit different, or is it the same?
The best mark is a strike.
100%. Couldn't agree more. That's in. That's not good.
Was that a Brooklyn?
That is about as lucky as you can get right there. And the European contingency will be very happy that
that was west of Brooklyn. That was out in Queens.
That was so far left, it was in Hawaii.
Yeah,
so
that was out there. But it's a W regardless. It's a win on the board for the Europeans and a must-win. And
Miss right.
All of a sudden it narrows the gap. There you go.
That's the first time I've seen the 5-pin fall last.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of bad ones. That was some of the things. The self-talk part right there got him. He got himself.
That's right.
There's this lane. There has been a spot to the right where if you get too far right, it could leave something really messy. And he talked himself right into that.
Yeah, he certainly did. But regardless, Jesse, it's a W for the Europeans, which is what's a much needed win on their side, in their camp.
Do you know how to deliver when it counts on this lane? How vital is it for you to get that win today?
I mean, 1 point isn't going to change this around, but we've just got to, we've got to get building blocks, and that was the first one. So you just got to take a deep breath, and Anthony's a great bowler, and it just showed then. I mean, I felt super comfortable, and he was super uncomfortable, and he still managed to make it a really close game later on.
It's quite a scalp to take, really, Anthony Simonsen, in terms of Weber Cup, because he's been phenomenal since he made his debut last year. How much does that do to give the European side a boost?
Yeah, I mean, Anthony's been great, but we were talking about it last night, and a lot of Anthony's wins have been against Jesper, and when he's playing against the left-hander, he has the lane to himself the whole time, so we were quite aware of that, and we were hoping that we were going to be able to get some more righty-righty matchups against him and see if that could change it around, because the way it had been going, he was almost unstoppable, the scores he'd been shooting.
Europe may have stemmed the tide of US victories, but they're still 4 points adrift of their rivals. With 5 matches still to play in this session, can they build some momentum and narrow the gap? Or will America edge closer to retaining the famous trophy? We'll find out next time when the Weber Cup returns.